guys. Today we're going to actually talk about stabilizing the field. So I'm going to normalize quantum jumping a little bit, and I want everyone to know that technically we have been quantum jumping our whole lives. Our whole lives. We're just not aware of how the design works, so we haven't realized that this is what we're doing, okay? And in essence, what happens is it creates a push-pull effect, the yo-yo effect, if you would, okay? That's what that is, all right? How many of you have recognized that yo-yo effect when you're trying to create something in the field and you notice something positive, and for a little while that is what's established, and then shortly after it all goes to hell. So in other words, you're not able to stabilize it. I can give you this example. If you were trying to manifest an SP, for example, you're trying to manifest the SP, you're trying to manifest the SP, you're trying to manifest the SP, and you make some progress and you make some progress, and you're so excited, and then you self-sabotage. And you recognize what you're doing, but it's too late. You've already reacted, right? The push-pull. Okay, I want to describe that a little bit better for you guys. This is important, right? We've got to understand what we're doing. All right, so let's talk about the push-pull and what's actually happening, what's going on behind the veil, what it is exactly, and how it is, why it's coming up this way, right? So let's talk about this a little differently. All right, so if we understand what's going on, we would first understand our design. First of all, first and foremost, you are the veil. You are the veil. Whether you realize this or not, your body serves as the veil for your 3D experience. Everything must go through your body of experience. So let's talk about that, because if you think when I refer to my body that I'm referring to this, yeah? That's not what I'm talking about. At all. That's not what I'm talking about. See, your body is actually 99% invisible to you. And that is the half that I'm talking about. 99% invisible to you. It is the invisible matter that makes the visible matter. It is what controls everything. When we are not aware of our invisible nature, we are by default limiting the world by what we know. Right? If we're not aware of who's controlling the inside, we have no idea how to control the outside. Therefore, we remain simple actors in the game and taking a very reactive stance to the circumstances, and we're not aware that we're making them, right? So you are the veil. We're clear on that. You are the veil. You are the gatekeeper. You decide what comes in and out. Everything that appears in your experience is you. You are deciding whether you will run from yourself or you will embrace yourself. But at all times, it is you. So if you understand that, okay, this is where it gets complicated. You see, the universe responds to you instantly. Your body is actually the veil and the buffer that creates the space and time. Okay, your body is doing this, yes? Okay, so your body is the buffer. Your body is the veil. However, okay, you can shut your eyes, bridge the gap of time and space, and feel it instantly, and the universe will respond. Okay? Now here's the talk. Here's the most important part of the talk. Okay? It responds immediately, but the changes are subtle. In fact, they are so subtle that the first thing I teach people, if you're going to start collapsing timelines, if you're going to start quantum leaping from this reality to the next, if you're going to be aware, because you do it anyway, but if you're going to be aware that you're doing this, you're going to dabble in this space and consciously choose versus unconsciously moving, okay? If you're going to dabble in this, your job is to stabilize the field, okay? You cannot remain in your desired state if you revert back to the old man. The old man itself will kick you out. Hence why you have hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold, or the push-pull effect or the yo-yo effect of our illusion. Because we're being double-minded, we're allowing our feelings to get in the way, we're allowing our old state to dictate, and so whatever we did, when we felt it instantly and we got instant, but whatever we did to kick back into our old programming will kick us out. It is so important to understand that, because the yo-yo effect is caused by you and no one else. Okay? This is part of manifesting consciously. It's something we should be aware of. It is important not to resort back to your old state of mind and behave from that way, because what you will be doing is automatically going back and forth, back and forth. So I want you guys to be aware. You are actually moving with every single choice you make. Every single choice you make actually creates your 3D box, and you are essentially its projector, okay? So I want to give you this story. It's a Vedantic story. It's a great story. It's called Neither This or That. Which one is real? Okay? And that story is a classic. It's told to children all over the place in India. It's a fantastic story about a children's story about an emperor who was also somewhat of a philosopher, whom had went to sleep one night. He was very rich, very wealthy, and in the middle of the night he gets woken up. He's under attack. And so he's like, oh my gosh, get me all my soldiers, get me out, and let's go to war, let's do this, I'm ready to defend my territory. And so he goes to battle, and he's so excited. You know, he's in that battle. Unfortunately, he does not win the battle, okay? But because he is king, the king that is taking over his kingdom is able to say, listen, dude, you're a king too, so I'm going to extend you a kindness. I'm not going to kill you. I'm not going to humiliate you in front of your people. I am going to ask that you leave and go to the other kingdom, because this is my kingdom now. So I won't kill you. I'm just going to kick you out of your own. I'll extend you that kind of royal courtesy. All right? And so the guy decides, has nothing left to do. He's injured, he's defeated, everything, he's lost it all. And so he sets on a journey to go across to the other kingdom. And as he's leaving, no one will help him, because everyone is totally afraid of the new emperor or the new ruling class or whatever. They're afraid of the actions of helping this man. So they don't help him. All right. So he reaches the new side of town. He finally gets to one of these places where in India, what they do is they mass feed the needy by creating like massive soup-like kitchens and temples. And so he arrived at one of these, and he waited in the long line to eat. And he finally gets to the line, and you know, he's at the end of the line. And so finally he gets there, and there's nothing left. They're like, I'm sorry, we just ran out. And he's so starved. He's so starved. And he's just like, just give me the bottom of I'll take the scraps. Just scrape the barrel. I'll lick the bowl. Like, this is how hungry he is in this moment, right? And so they do this because they feel really bad, and they give him this bowl, and along comes a kite, and the bowl slips out of his hand, and he's not able to eat, and he just throws himself on the ground. And in India, you say ha-ha, but it means the opposite of what it means in our world. Ha-ha is kind of like that, oh my God, woe is me, alas, alas, what will happen to me? A ha-ha, instead of ha-ha, this is funny, right? Okay? So that's what he said, ha-ha, alas, right? And he's desperate, and suddenly he wakes up. He wakes up. And he realized that was, you know, most people would call this a dream and would just leave it at that. But because he's a philosopher, because he understands that, and because he recognizes that the inherent nature of the dream world and the inherent nature of the waking world is exactly the same. So the question that he started asking himself is this true or that true? And all the people come around and they try and help him, and he's like, is this true or that true? Which one was real? Which one's real? And he can't get off this trajectory. Which one was real? Like, I can't just, which one? And so, you know, everyone by now hears of the kingdom, and everyone's heard that the great emperor has kind of lost his marbles a little bit and keeps asking, is this true or that true? Is this true or that true? And no one can get this man off this trajectory. So one of his friends, a fellow philosopher, walks up, and he understands this perfectly, and he says to this gentleman, he says, listen. He said, he talks to him and he says, which one was real? You know, were you there? And he said, yes, I was there. Okay, but are you there now? And he looks around and he's not. So he's like, okay, so then that's not real. He's like, yeah, but in my dream, I was there now and I wasn't here. So that doesn't really, so does that mean that both realities are unreal? And so the wise philosopher says, yes, exactly. Neither one is real. So that's what everybody does. So then everybody falls into that. What do you mean? What do you mean? That isn't real? That isn't real? And kind of, you know, he's really sort of dejected, not sure what to think. And he says, yes, neither that or that was real, but you yourself, what you actually are is the truth or the center of experience. Whatever you are experiencing is what's real in the moment. And that's what's important to understand. You are creating every single moment of your life. You are the creator. You are the only truth. You are the center of it. And then everything else is piling up around you. Okay? So if you understand that, then you have a very different understanding of the world. Because see, the house can burn down and it will mean nothing because you'll make a new house out of thin air. That's the type of juice I want you all to have. And you have it already. I'm just simply making you aware of the invisible side of your nature. In other words, 99% of you, okay, you cannot see. You cannot see it. At most, what you all see is the pixelated dots in empty space. That's what you're going to see. The majority of what you're going to see, right? The pixelated dots, that's it, right? That's what you're seeing. Okay, those little light photons, okay, are how you see your illusion. And the arrangement of those little photons are controlled with your voice, with your inner beliefs, and that is determining what you see. You guys do not see with these eyes. In fact, what you guys see with your eyes is only a neural representation. Your visual cortex is in the back of your head. I know because my son was injured in the back of his head, therefore he was blind. Okay? So, your visual cortex is in the back of your head, and what you see with your eyes is a representation of what is in the back, or what is made from within you. That's it. So if I only use my eyes to see, am I not blinded by what I think is real? And I'm not counting the other parts of reality that are, but see, as an eternal being who is completely able to hop from one reality to the next all the time and is perfectly aware of our ability to do so, we do not flip out. We do not worry about outer circumstances. We simply move in mind in the direction that we want to go to. Now, here is the catch, okay? Your reality is created by what you already know, okay? Bit by bit, every inch of that railroad line that the consciousness that is your train must go on must be set. And it's built one layer at a time based on what you know, okay? It is so subtle when you make these moves, when you make these changes, that very little appears out of place. This would be because anything else would appear to be a shock, would it not? For example, if I went to sleep in my bed here in DC and I woke up in, say, Bali, I would freak out, right? This would be too much of a shock to my system, okay? So what's going to happen if I want to sleep in Bali and I want to actually enter that state, I must bridge the gap of time and space and use my body as the freaking gatekeeper that it's always been and feel it in my body. as real, just like the biblical story of Jacob, Esau, and his father Isaac. All of this, okay, is explained, okay? So the brother couldn't get his inheritance until he could convince his father that he felt like his brother because his father was blind. You are doing the same thing, my darlings. You are blind until you use your inner sight to see just how much bigger your world is. If you see a cosmos, that cosmos is a representation of you. You are merely looking at the reflective surface of yourself outside of time. You must understand how much bigger you are than your circumstances, because what you're seeing outside that great big vast cosmos of space is your reflection. You're the entire universe at once. Do you understand the power behind understanding what that means? Okay? What that means is, if I happen to live in Texas and the power's going out or whatever, I'm going to go right into my body and I'm going to feel the warmth of that power getting turned back on. And that is my only concern. And if an army has to come from God knows where to turn on my power, that's what will happen, because I am the operant power. Do you understand that? I am the operant power, and I am the operant power. I'm not saying me. I'm saying I am is universal. This is universally true of every single human being on earth. Therefore, we are not limited by what we see. We are so much bigger than what we see. Now, once we understand that, we still have to stabilize the field. We cannot yo-yo back and forth, because you will never keep the love of your life. You will never keep the job of your life. You'll never keep whatever it is that you desire. You know, it's so simple. Here's the perfect analogy, right? Why do lottery winners end up broke? Why? They have an influx of money. There's no excuse for them to be broke, right? Because they end up broke because they did not change their state. So the outer circumstance made no difference as they run through all their money. They didn't change their poverty mentality. Therefore, they are destined to be just as broke. It doesn't matter how much money gets thrown at them. Their inner behavior dictates what they receive on the outside. It's simple. It's simple. Outer circumstances have nothing to do with your inner state. Your inner state determines the outer circumstances. So as you are stabilizing this field, it is important to understand a few things. The minute you doubt, you get kicked out. You go back to the old man, okay? The minute that you doubt, that happens. The second thing that occurs, right, is that your doubts then spiral, and then you end up in a world where that is not true. And if you do that, then you will create more faith in fear than in faith. Therefore, what you see will be the opposite of what you want. Okay. Sorry, guys, got interrupted. All right, so if you understand that, okay, if you understand that much, it changes everything in your world. You guys decide whether you get to keep your creation or not, okay? But the state, the inner state, is the stabilizing field. In the story, is this true or is that true? The only truth was the knower, the perceiver, the center of the creation that is making everything outside of it do its bidding. That's the only thing that is real. Understand, you choose, okay? So what you are doing is making those little photons of light rearrange themselves into new patterns using your voice, your belief, and your faith in order to enter that new state. But you carry these little light photons in you, with you. You can't see them. At best, you see little pixels of light, and that's it, if you see that at all. Hopefully now that I've pointed that out, you will start to see them all over the place because they've always been there, okay? But that is all that you're doing in manifestation. You are rearranging the pixels of light so that you can see the whatever it is that you want, okay? Now, your body, like I said, is the gatekeeper, and your heart is the one that is reading what is possible. So when you desire something, what is happening is your heart is registering what is in the field of possibility, and your job is to bridge that gap. So it's to know. So you use your body, you make it feel real. Now, if you can do that, what happens? You remember I said you're the gatekeeper. Now, the next part is the push-pull. The push-pull is really important. The next part is the moment that your doubts and your past or the old man must filter through your body, okay? You must allow that process to happen. You must allow it to filter through your body without getting caught up in what you're seeing. You're supposed to have the type of faith that says, now that I'm armed with my truth, I allow this doubt and fear and worry to leave my body because it doesn't know my God. It doesn't know my God. It's very simple. And so as such, you allow it to filter. This keeps you stable in instant quantum jumping land, where your reality will gradually change before your eyes in a way that you find mentally and emotionally and physically possible. Although it will arrange itself in such a crazy roundabout way that you will know that it was God in you that did it. You're not supposed to worry about the how. That's not your job. It never has been. Your job is simply to know. When you want an instant manifestation, the fastest way to do that is to know, to be still and know. When you are still and know, then the rest of the world falls in line. All the little photons line up, appear differently to your eyes, and literally the reality switches before your eyes. And if you're paying real close attention, you will notice the shift, which is why I teach people. Look for what's out of place. Get real excited about what's out of place. Get super happy dabby. Get excited about the littlest button you found out of place, because your brain doesn't know the difference between big or small. To it, cancer and $1 million is the same as a penny and a cold. There's no difference there, okay? We're making the difference. So if you understand that, you can notice what's different, start celebrating those differences so that sooner or later the big differences will shine. They will be so obvious, it'll be crazy. There'll be no denying that you have been quantum jumping. The issue is that most times, because, like I said, it's the new reality is built upon from the old reality so that you're not shocked, okay? So if that's the case, if that's what's being used, right? Remember that. So it's very easy to miss the new state. It's such a subtle change, and that subtle change, you must remain stable in your new state. You must assume the persona of the person you wish to be to remain there. And the problem with that is, although the world changes instantly with you, because remember, the only thing that's getting rearranged are the little photons of light that are outside of us. You guys understand that, right? You have that much mojo, you have that much juju. Okay? Little photons of light are simply rearranging themselves according to your state of being. That's why all these densities form themselves into your image. You have to understand what the image is. Yes? Okay? So, to avoid the push-pull, to avoid the yo-yos, this has everything to do with relationships. This has everything to do with stabilizing your field. This has everything to do with stabilizing how you want to quantum jump into a reality and make it solid and real and stay there. You have already leaped. You've already done it, especially if you put a quantum leap into your, a quantum leap into your decision, if you decided to do that. Quantum leaps are the simple choice of, it's a simple choice. It's making a choice. That's it. Your life is like a choose your own adventure book. If you go left, then these are the set of parameters that will happen. If you go right, then these are the set of parameters that will happen. You are in this reality simply learning what happens when you go left and right and what occurs because of it. So you are learning how to master being first cause. First cause of every effect in your life. That is what you're learning. You must learn to stabilize this field so you can avoid the push-pull, the hot and cold, the relationship that seems to be on 1 minute and the relationship that seems to be off the next minute. This is how you stabilize this field. You cannot be double-minded. You cannot go back to your old way. You can recognize your old way and rewrite it with a new way of thinking. That's what our job is. But we must stabilize the field. As far as quantum jumping goes, as far as quantum leaping, as far as reality transurfing, we do that anyway. We are doing it with every single choice we make. I'm just making you guys aware of the fact that you're doing it this way. This is the nature of our being. This is how we interact here. Okay? That's how it works. All right? But you have been quantum leaping and you've already leaped into your desire millions of times. It is your job simply to consider it real so that you can establish that connection and remain there. Okay? But like I said, this is instant world. Okay? If you're going to enjoy instant world, please have the discipline of mind to remain in the state of your desired state. Okay? From a desired state in instant world, you treat your partner differently. You treat your partner differently. You treat your creation differently. You are aware that you are the only truth at its center and everything is occurring for you. Everything outside is a representation of you. So your state determines the outside, not the other way around. Now, as I said, the waking world and the dreaming world have very similar components, right? So let me give you an example. Most of you would say in the dream world, that if I dream something, but when I wake up, I realize it was all in my head, correct? It was all in my head. I realized I wasn't actually there. That's the dream state, okay? But here's the thing. When you were dreaming and you weren't aware that you were dreaming, were you aware of the objects that you were using? Weren't you able to use them there too? Regardless of them being in your head? Weren't they available? You thought you could use them? You just didn't know you were in the dream. Huh? Okay. So the waking and the dreaming life are similar. We've established that. Okay. Another certain fact of the waking dreaming life is this. I always say this. If I go to sleep right now, at my age, and I dream that I'm in high school, I never question how I got there. I never question arriving in the middle of high school. I don't think, wait, I went to sleep at this age and I'm turning the clock back 30 years. I don't question that in the moment, okay? The same thing is happening in your waking life. You don't question how things got there. So this is the exact same occurrence when you feel blindsided by your reality. It's the exact same thing. Your waking life and the dream life are identical. They're different states, but they're still identical. So if you remember this, this is key. This is really huge, huge, okay? Everything is you. Everything that you land was created by you. And if you remember to be first cause, you will always have control over the reality, okay? If you forget, you will spiral out of control. You'll react to 3D, and 3D will be as real as you make it. That is the purpose for discovering the consequence of our choices. The eternal mind has never, ever, ever been imprisoned, okay? This not imprisoned at all, okay? What occurs? What is simply happening all the time is that I name something and then I enter that state. I am making 3D boxes all the time. Whether I am aware of them or not, I am creating the 3D boxes from which I live in. And that is crucial and key to know. Because if you don't, then what happens? You react to the world. You feel helpless. If someone's mean to you, you're like, oh, I wish people would stop being mean. Yeah. It's so cute. But do you understand that they cannot exist outside of you calling them mean? You are basically naming yourself when you call them mean. That must mean that an aspect of you is mean. It's being projected outside for you to correct it. And rather than upholding it and calling them mean, you have an obligation as the gatekeeper to see better, especially because it is your reflection. You see? So you don't uphold what's wrong with this world by claiming what's wrong with this world. You just don't do that. Hello, it's your reflection. So your point of power is within, and from within you decide what it means. But be careful before you name it, because you will go down with that ship. This is how you quantum leap all the time. You go down with the ship. Whatever you decide will be right, and you will get to be right whether you want it or not. In other words, if I'm expecting a relationship to fail, it will fail. It has to. It will play out. Every little person will act out its part on automaton mode. You react, he reacts, she reacts, whatever, it doesn't matter, okay? We're reacting, okay? The only thing that we're doing is growling at the mirror the way a dog would growl at the mirror if it saw its own reflection. It's pointless. It's pointless. There's no power there. The power is in realizing you are the source reflection, and that your words and whatever you feel to believe to be real is then created in the back of your head for you to see. And if you know you have that power, you have dominion over your world. If you don't know you have that power, then you will feel helpless in the world. But the difference is quite simple. In one reality, you're not asleep, you're just conscious of being at your caterpillar phase. Your caterpillar phase is the 3D reality from which you cannot see above your circumstances because you've made your 3D box and are only able to perceive what you can see from the ground level, from inside your 3D box. It's very simple, okay? That is your caterpillar phase. This is the past, this is the solid material that is outside, okay? Your inner phase, the one you have to climb the hell up and fly above your circumstances, exists within and from behind your body that is serving as the veil of your illusion. So this is a steep climb inward, back to the source of the reflection that does not exist in time and space. Your job then is to know that your body itself is the megaphone, it's the experiencer, it gets to enjoy its experiences, but if you understand how your experiences are made, you have no need to suffer anything ever again. It's very important. So, stabilize your field, avoid the yo-yos, and act as if and assume and remain in the state. That's how you avoid the yo-yo, the push-pull, the hot and cold. The second you doubt, you are kicked out. You're kicked out instantly. Most people don't realize they've already achieved their state, and then they convince themselves, because what do? They question, did anything happen? Is anything happening? When's my desire coming? Do you see when you start doing that kind of thing? What you've actually said is, everything that I just did didn't work instantly, so I've got to wait. You're creating a space-time buffer within you, so it appears to be taking longer than it should. Huh? Okay? But when you know, like you know that things, this is how it works, and this is how it works, when you know this, you approach reality very differently. very, very differently. It doesn't matter what happens outside, because you can rearrange the little light photons into a new reality and make a new 3D box and make the world a better place simply by existing there and using your body in a different way. So you must become aware that you are an eternal being who's been quantum leaping its entire life. You must become aware of that. We all must. We also must become aware that we are the absolute reality in a world filled with illusion. None of it's real. It's all meaningless, you could say. Okay? However, since you get to choose the meaning and you are here for the experience of understanding, at least choose in your favor before you judge something. At least decide that it can mean something else before you go to your autopilot mode that would say, oh, this is what this is. At least understand that it's always you, because your power is there and there alone. It does not exist anywhere else. This is how we stabilize our field. This is how we understand what happens. This is how we remain in this state, you guys. So that's what I wanted to talk to you guys about. It's not meant to be a long talk, but it is meant to be the sort of talk that helps you stabilize, that helps you stop going from hot and cold or the yo-yo effect. If you want, the easiest way to lose a lover is to doubt that they were yours to begin with. It's the easiest way. The reality will play out. It will play out exactly as you've decided it can be. The easiest way to lose money, same thing. You're putting a limit on it, aren't you? Okay? Everything in this world is made of consciousness. Okay? And consciousness is like sugar. It's very much like sugar. Okay? Meaning that if I want sweet milk, I add a little sugar to the milk. If I want sweet water, I add a little sweet sugar to the water. Okay? But if I want sugar to be sweeter, that doesn't make sense. It's inherently sweet. Consciousness is inherently everything and all that is. We add consciousness using our awareness by seeing, using ourselves as the light projector. This then creates the reality that we're making. We have this power. So you decide, are you going to use your 3D caterpillar perception, or are you going to climb deep inside yourself, where you have the bird's eye point of view of what is going on outside the 3D box from outside of space and time. If you take time to do this, you will understand how we came up with the philosophy of the Sky Daddy. It makes perfect sense now. When the ancients tried to teach the primitive people, they were trying to explain of the point of power that exists within them, that exists outside of space and time, that appears to be in the heavens. But it's not, it's in your head. So where in your head it's created, and so below you experience it. You must understand that to stabilize your experiences. Until you do, you will live by default. That's called sleep. So we're either awake in knowing this, or we're reacting and asleep and unaware on autopilot. We decide. We decide. But you don't have to worry about what the people out there are going to do, okay? That's not your job. They are all your bodies. They don't exist without you, okay? But how you see them is totally dependent on you, right? Okay? All right. So you don't worry about that, okay? Because like I said, it's a choose your own adventure book. Your state then decides the roles that these people play. And I could be the same person. I can end this talk like this. I could be the same person, but if I react with fear to what I'm seeing, everything that I see will be in the fear reflection. And so all the bad things that can happen, I'm still first cause, but the effect of my fear shall be played out. Okay? I could take me, the same person, and have the same faith, okay? And the effect of that faith will be what is played out. Either way, I'm the constant. Either way, I'm choosing what effect I'm going to experience. That's the most important thing. As an eternal being, you have to know that because you are the truth. And if you know you're the truth, everything else then falls in line. You arrange the little pixelated dots, and then the little pixelated dots become a new picture for you to see. So I'm going to leave you guys with that. I'm going to normalize the fact that you've been quantum leaping your whole life. This is not new. It never has been, okay? I'm going to leave the fact that quantum entanglement is not new, okay? It's in the Bible. It's described in Corinthians, where the many members of the body have different functions, but they're all part of the same body. Quantum entanglement. So you don't need to worry about what the outside world is doing because you are already hardwired, according to the word, as a quantum entangled being. That's in the Bible, you guys. I'm not making this up. It's in there. Okay? I love this talk. All right. So if it's in there, all right, you are in control of your outside world already. It has been pre-written. Do you see how important it is to understand the Word of God as your creation factor? Okay? Underneath every single illusion, you will find at its base the Word of God. The rest of the illusion is created by you, the knower, who then affects the light photons into something or whatever it wants it to be. All right? Understand this, you guys. You don't have to worry about out there. Okay? The quantum entanglement's written into the Word. They're going to act according to you because you're affecting them just like they're affecting you and we're affecting each other. It's always one thing. Consciousness. Expressing itself as the many. All right? So, I hope this was a good talk. I hope it was helpful. Think about what I'm saying to you. Normalize the fact that you've been quantum leaping your whole life. Normalize the field. Stabilize how you are. Do not be double-minded. Assume your state to keep your desire. Assume your state to keep your desire. You are learning how to balance being within. Whatever you want, you can have it. This is law. It's law. It's awesome. It really is when you understand it. Okay? It's law. I'm not saying anything that hasn't been written before. These are not Cindy's teachings. These are the Bible's teachings. I just explain it to you in a way that you get it. Okay? So, please remember this. You are the field. You are responsible for the push-pull. And your story must be stabilized. When you catch yourself, okay, this is the pull part. When your reality goes back to the old state, this is the pull part. When you catch yourself, simply allow the experience to filter through your body. Do not trap it in with you by ignoring it, okay? Or allowing the old voice to tell you, oh, here we go again. I knew he hadn't changed. That type of conversation. Don't have those conversations with yourself. Let them go. Let them filter through your body so that you can enter the new state. Okay? It's almost as if the ego itself takes advantage of this stage because this is when your rational mind takes over and is allowed to have a voice and is allowed to introduce doubt. But that's especially the point in time where you need to be armed with your truth and stabilize your state so you can prove this law to yourself. The law always works, you guys. It always works. It's almost ridiculous. Like, I play a playlist, I leave some water, I drink some water, next thing I know, there's money in every one of my accounts. Put in there, thin air. I did not give these other accounts to other people. I just hadn't been doing it, right? But what did I do? I listened to the prosperity list that says, if you listen to this, money will appear in your life within 10 minutes. Hot damn if it wasn't true. You know? I love it. I love it. But that's how how easy it is to make anything out of thin air. So do you realize how pointless it is to allow the outer circumstance to determine who you are? It's pointless. You determine it. Huh? Take your place of power, you guys. Love you. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.